Hi everybody, I'm back. In part 2, we are quickly going to address a few important things. We ended part 1 with Charles's latest appointment and how she will be Torben Andre's deputy and how both can easily be manipulated to brief against William and Catherine. And here is an example of how they brief against William, Catherine and Kensington Palace by leaking and manipulating to media figures, etc., etc. Okay, so a fairly large, let's call him a YouTuber, or at least he has a big following and is one of the walkovers from mainstream media. Well, he reported more or less that there was a bit of discord because Charles instructed or forced Catherine to cover up for the Nigerian state dinner. Well, straight away, utter BS. Firstly, Catherine has a brain, and I'm sure she or one of her assistants Googled the Nigerian president and noticed that he is Muslim. Catherine has assistants, advisors, and stylists offering these services. I'm rather sure that Charles did not and did not have to force Catherine to cover up. It is just bullshit coming from the imagination of Torben Andre. Utter trash. The Queen Elizabeth II, always studied her visitors and made sure that she would not offend through the ways, either how she dressed or something she said. And from what I've heard, Catherine does exactly the same, and so does William. They get their people to do their homework, they get a little file on whoever they're going to be dealing with on that particular day, they study that, so when they catch up with the people or they're in their company, they know exactly what to say, what is taboo, how to dress, etc. Okay. So now for the important gossip or news, because some other YouTubers can say what they will and can say I'm being led astray. I do not really care, and believe me, I do not think Charles will be successful. But I do think that he is going to keep trying until the day he lays his head down for the last time. Now, what am I talking about? Well, in this video, I'm not going to say it out loud or straight out. I'm going to, for a change, leave it up to you to decide. I'm also going to tell you the way I heard it. So, unfortunately, I have to take a step back and take you through it from the beginning to coherently share this with you instead of just coming out and saying it or giving you my opinion. Okay? I also advise you to go listen to Richard Eden when we are done here, because it appears that we may have the same informant, or then, if not the same person, then more or less from the same place. Or it could just be that the same thing is indeed known to more people. Richard Eden calls it Operation Thor. Now, I do not know what to call it. Maybe I should refer to it as the upcoming shit show. I don't know. So, let me start. And I'm going to start with a shocker. One which I'm not really going to explain, okay? As I said, a lot is being said in this video between the lines. Okay, William needs to wake up, and wake up very quickly. It is one thing to say you will do this, change the monarchy, modernize the monarchy, change people's view of the monarchy, but that your first priority remains the safety and welfare of your family. But then you do nothing to really get behind what is, number one, being done behind your back, and number two, what is being done and said outside the world which your family controls, threatens, and sometimes even manages to eradicate or delete. So let's talk Harry and Meghan's visit to Australia. This private visit, okay? So let's see what is really happening during this private visit. Okay, the trip was going to happen one way or the other. Anyway, regardless, okay? They've been saying they are going to take a trip to Australia for nearly 2 years, if I remember correctly. So it is likely that they were looking for a reason to go. Or Meghan suggested that they could just as well earn a buck while they are in Australia. And let it be said then that Meghan trademarked her as ever in Australia before the visit. So yeah, her intentions are indeed pretty clear. But it also proves that they had planned this since at least September 2024, because September 2024 was when Meghan applied for the first as ever trademark in Australia, and it took a while. I guess she again forgot to sign it or whatever, because it was only published in July 2025. But never mind, by now she has filed 12 trademark applications connected to as ever in Australia. Well, you know Meghan and her trademarks and domain names. She must own about 100 or anywhere between 100 and 1,000 or more by now. Okay, and then I can also tell you that a recent petition attracted 10,000 verified signatures calling for Harry and Meghan not to receive any taxpayer-funded support during their visit. Now hang in there, my friends. Just hang in there. This taxpayer-funded support covers security, logistics, and government coordination from Australia tax money, Australian government support. But the petition says absolutely nothing about British support. Wink, wink. But I'll get back to that. But in the meantime, it appears as if Meghan has a plan to expand into Australia. And I'm almost convinced that thick-skinned Meghan Markle will indeed give it a try, regardless of the fact that she is by no means currently even assured of a warm welcome from Australians in general. It is said that it was Marcus Anderson who sort of, in a way, facilitated Meghan and Gemma O'Neill getting together. Now, I'm not so sure about that, because there is another Marcus in the mix somewhere, but really that part does not even matter. Anyway, whoever's idea this girls' weekend was, or whether Meghan invited herself, or what really happened, I don't know. Okay? Most people are saying that Meghan invited herself. But this whole entire collaboration with the her Best Life podcast is not exactly going smoothly either. The podcast was indeed started by Jackie O. Henderson and Gemma O'Neill. Yet Jackie has stepped away from the podcast for reasons unknown a while ago already. After this, it also became known that Jackie was also experiencing a breakdown of her radio partnership with Kyle Sandilands. Plus, we have now heard that Jackie is not interested in having any part in Gemma and Meghan's Girls' Weekend. Gemma, on the other hand, has issues of her own. Her talent agency, Besties, recently collapsed and still owes more than $500,000 to the Australian Tax Office. Then, wait for this, it appears Meghan has given Gemma some not so sound advice because remember how we were told that the tickets were sold out? Well, it appears it was, again, Meghan Markle type bullshit. Remember how her products also sold out? Meantime, there were warehouses full of it. Like the one lady at Netflix said, it was just jam, 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 jam all over. Well, it appears the tickets were not sold out and may even still not be sold out. Someone saw the event listed as sold out, but you were encouraged to still register just in case tickets become available, which this woman duly did, and guess what? The next morning, she received an email offering her a ticket. So, no, they are not sold out. Okay, now Harry. If Marcus set up Meghan with Gemma and Besties, who set Harry up with the Inter-Edge Psychosocial Safety Summit? And not as a sideline event, but as a keynote speaker. Yes, keynote speaker. When the event will be or is supposed to be attended by doctors, professors, big business people, and so on and so on, Harry is not even qualified to be in these people's company, never mind be the keynote speaker at this event. Well, my dear friends, it wasn't Marcus Anderson or even Sunshine Sachs who got this gig for Harry. Of that, I am fairly sure. Not with this type of event. This is not entertainment at all. I mean, we have names of speakers like Dr. Amy Cuddy, Dr. Christy Goodwin, Professor Melinda Edwards, and many more, CEOs, managing directors, commissioners, and then, embarrassingly, there is Harry among all these learned and esteemed speakers. So, we have gotten this far. Now, I'm told that someone on behalf of Harry and Meghan have requested that they stay in the same place in Sydney as they did in 2018 for security reasons. I'm told the Australian visit will take the same shape as their visit to Jordan, and that those who complain or had something to say about Harry and Meghan's visit have already been threatened or their silence bought ahead of the visit. I'm also told there's a lot riding on this visit to Sydney and Melbourne, and basically that the Sussex's future will be decided on their conduct and their success in Australia. Like a friend jokingly said, there are lots of snakes and spiders in Australia. Okay, my dear friends, so I have given you the information. Okay, now it's up to you to read the messages between the lines and just decide for yourself what is going on here. As for me, this is all, unfortunately, I have time for today. I do, however, have some more lined up for you tomorrow, okay? And we may even go a bit deeper into this information tomorrow. We'll see how far we get. So until then, please take good care of yourselves. Stay safe. Bye.